Hello, everybody. Welcome to August and vacation time, some good weather, some market changes, of course. But before we get started, I want to welcome, we have a couple new executives on the call. Herbert, give us a wave. Welcome to the company. And I can't see you, but we're going to welcome you. You have your video on. We see you. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining our company, and we look forward to your success with us. So the market. Have we seen any changes in the last day, last week, last month?
The number 2. Brown rice.
Just going to mute some people because I got some background noise. Anyway, so yes, the market. Obviously, the biggest factor with the market has been the change in the interest rates. And with the change in the interest rates, you end up getting some uncertainty. You get the uncertainty from people that are wondering if the market is going to crash. We've heard that word. We've had people say, well, you know, the soft landing that it was supposed to be didn't happen. Well, that really depends on the community that you're in. There are areas in Ontario that have absolutely had a softer landing than other areas. And what that factor is really depending on the price range in some of the areas. We've seen where with the rising interest rates, there's been a change in the market for higher prices that people are going, okay, you know what, with the big change in the interest rates, that's really pulled down their buying power. Yet there's been a demand that has changed for the price ranges that are below $1 million, because what's happened in the last 6 months, and more so really in the last 90 days, is rents have skyrocketed. And so now you're getting where people are looking at how much are they going to be paying for rent versus, even with the higher interest rates, if they have the ability to have that down payment, they're now looking at buying. Okay, so you had buyers that were also in the marketplace trying to buy in the hectic times that took themselves out of the marketplace, that did rent for a year, and now are looking at buying because of the decline or the adjustment in the prices. So the market certainly has adjusted. In some areas, we've seen it as much as 25%. In other areas, we've seen it as little as 8%, 5 to 8%, depending on which community you're in. Moving forward, the impact really is going to be, it's sort of up in the air right now because of the September interest rate possibly changing again. Now, as of yesterday, there was talk that it was going to be as much as 0.75%. Yet last night, when I was talking to a couple different mortgage brokers, their companies have actually been talking with some of the banks who are trying to put pressure on the government not to increase it at all in September. And so they're trying, and the banks do have a fair bit of pull. The issue with the bank is if their money's not out on the table, out in the street somewhere, they're not making any money. So with the decline in the number of sales, the banks have seen a drastic pullback of all types of financing changes. So they're now in discussions with the government saying, we need to have a little bit of a slowdown on this panic increase because you've gone so drastic that we're having consumers do nothing, absolutely nothing now. So they're in discussions with that. The other discussions they're also having is they're looking at adjusting the stress test. So there are discussions right now. Right now, the stress test is you are 2% above your contract rate. okay, which is an adjustment from what it was before, because it was 2% above the posted rate. So they had done some adjustment on that. The further adjustment that they're trying to get is if they're going to keep this, well, banks are trying to get rid of the stress test, saying interest rates have risen far enough that we don't need the stress test. The government's looking at the stress test as a really good thing, saying that, thank goodness we had the stress test in, because the people now that may be facing refinancing, the rate has increased by an amount that allows for them to absorb any changes. So there is the possibility that you are going to get the stress test reviewed with possibility of some changes. Okay, so that's not going to happen by September, but those things are in discussion because the banks are seeing that the number of sales has drastically declined, which means that their contribution of money on the streets has drastically declined, and they see that moving forward. So they're looking at saying, how can we do something moving forward to make sure there at least is a steady marketplace? Okay. Has anybody heard anything else from other different financial institutions, different banks, different anything? If you have, just unmute yourself and give a comment.
I haven't heard anything from banks, but I have heard from, because I'm one of these people that have been saying, yeah, okay, we're in for a major crash here, and we're going to go down 30% minimum. And the interesting thing was I received an email a couple of days ago from the owner of the Chinese newspaper that I have been advertising in every so often, stating that because Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan and the Chinese are getting very hostile regarding Taiwan, a lot of Taiwanese are potentially moving into Toronto. And by doing that, they will up prices again. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take any wind out of your sails, but interesting thought.
Well, that's good, because I'm going to add to that.
Okay, good.
That's exactly one of the things that is going to stop the downturn or the crazy fall, is the fact that I've heard that exactly, Tina. Now, the other thing that I've also come across is there is money now coming back in from China, from Korea, and this is all within the last 2.5, 3 weeks, where investors, I've been talking to several different agents because of a property that I had, which was in July, it was dead.
Yeah,
dead. Beginning of August, all of a sudden I was getting every agent that was, the activity picked up, and every agent I asked, where's the buyer coming from? They were, money was, then they were buying from China, Korea, and lots of the investors are coming back into the marketplace because of the adjustment, and they're feeling that it's near the bottom. So as soon as we start having that kind of money coming in, the other phenomenal thing that's taking place right now is July and August, we had a large contingency of immigration moving into the GTA. Now, we're not seeing that into the real estate purchase side as much, but definitely on the rental side. Like on the rental side, there are a lot of families that have been moving here from lots of areas of the world, and really seem to be July and August. I had a property for one of my clients for rent in Jane and Lawrence area. And I can tell you, majority of the people that were looking and the agents I spoke with were all new immigrants and tradespeople that were coming into Ontario because of the lack of jobs, lack of people with lots of jobs. So, which is another which is one of the reasons why we've seen, at least in the GTA, the rents go up, and the fact that you also have all the students coming back to the universities, which in downtown Toronto that's a huge rental base, right? So when they last 2 years, they've been all online. Well, now they're coming back in, and the rents in the GTA or any of the actual university communities have really started increasing. So another thing that does is it brings investors back in looking at buying rental properties. So we've had this decline, we've had interest rates go up, and so what the investors are looking at, they're looking at, it's great, but the rents have gone up significantly to the point where in the GTA, the rents are the highest they've ever been. 2019 was when the rents were at their peak. They fell last 2021. Now they are beyond where they were in 2019. So what that tells me is and if you look at where the interest rates were actually in 2018 and 2019, it's about where we are today. So what tells me that is if we look at that marketplace, those investors are going to start coming back in. And that's where you will see that falling trend all of a sudden start doing this. And there's a demand then for the properties to start going. And I know Julia does a lot of work down there. So if you have any comments or want to add anything, Julia, just hop on but that's what we're seeing. And that's what I expect we're going to continue to see. Oh, you're still on mute. There you go.
I'm not sure I can really add more, but other than the rental rates are just crazy, the competition is crazy. I've got people that are looking for some rental properties in the city, and I've told them to wait till October if they can. And I mean, and all sorts of illegal action, like paying a year up front, damage deposits with unreasonable terms, and of course, the damage deposits aren't legal either. I think landlords are really getting the message that they can ask for whatever they want because there's so much competition. So.
Right. So, and then because you start having that activity, you start getting the investors back in. And when you start seeing investors come back in, and I've seen it before, that's usually when we start seeing the leveling off, because that is a direct influence that is not a end user per se, right? So there still are some end users, some first-time buyers that are sitting on the fence. There are clients that you probably have who have said, you know what, we're just going to do a wait and see. And some of those clients actually have a property to sell and want to buy something. I know even in my client base, I can give you a prime example. I've just listed a place today. She was looking, she's been in her house since 1989, 4-bedroom, 2-story, looking to buy a condominium, bungalow condominium, move out of Mississauga into Hamilton, Ancaster, that kind of area. Now, I started the discussions with her back in January and looking at the pricing for her place versus what the market was doing, but didn't want to move until she found the exact spot. Wasn't so much buying the bungalow condo, but it had to back onto trees, had to back onto something private, because that's what she has behind her place. We started talking in February. Her place probably was worth 175 in there, between 165 to 175 in February. The condo that she was looking at buying was 135, depending on the size. Well, we just started that little drip campaign, came across one that she bought. What is today? She bought on Monday, Tuesday. Ironically, it came out on Friday. Came out, beautiful, big, nice condo, 2-car garage, bungalow loft style. Came out listed at $999. In February, it probably would have sold for $1.3 million. So sat down with her and I said, okay, that's great, but let's look realistically at where your house has gone. So her house basically has gone probably down to about $1.5 million, but the condo at $999, yeah, 4 offers on it. And this is in Hamilton Mountain area. For anybody that's familiar with Hamilton Mountain, just off of Rymel and Garth area. So all the nice, there's a community in there called the Trails. But just to give you an idea, 4 offers for that style. Why? And this is where I'm going with this is location, a unique property, priced right. There's going to have multiple buyers even in this marketplace. Okay, so 4 offers. She ended up paying $1.075 for it. Had to buy it firm. So we looked at her place and said, you know what, $1.5 million is where more than likely where your number is, but maybe $1.575, mine $1.550 million, $1.550. But if you look at that shift, okay, so the shift is February, it was too rushed, too hectic for her to be able to make that transition because it was just crazy. Okay. And so now she has that time to go through it and that time for me to educate her on what's going on in the marketplace. Then the place comes out, even though it's still multiple offers, because the buyer, because she's had time to digest the changes and always communicating with her, she was comfortable on moving forward because she was in the realm of understanding prices have come down on her place, prices have come down on the other place, but the market is still there. And the reason I wanted to share that sort of story with you is you have clients right now that you may not be communicating with or haven't communicated with because they said, we're going to put it on hold. You need to get back and communicate consistently with your database because there are people that I believe you're going to find are going to not wait the full year that they were talking about waiting. Because they're going to start seeing sold signs. And if you actually drive around this, like if you're driving around, there are sold signs around. It's not like for sale signs are just sitting there. Okay. So the consumer is going to be seeing, okay, something I saw online is, how many times do you get this? Consumer gets back to you. Yeah, there was a house on MLS. It's not there anymore. What happened to it? Did they take it off the market? And you go, no, it's sold. And they're going, oh, why? Like the market's not dead. So you need to now make sure you're communicating with your database, communicating with clients, because the conversation out there is that there's activity. Okay. And this moving forward, even if they increase the interest rates, even if they do go up, you're going to have a little bit of a lull where people are going to go, okay, how is that going to affect us? Well, even if they go up, say they go up 0.5%, there's a difference between going up 0.5% where you're already sitting at 5.5, let's say, where it goes up 0.5%, versus being at 2% and they go up to 4.5. It's easier for that client to absorb that 0.5 percentage point. And they're talking about maybe 3/4. So there'll be a little bit of a lull just where people digest that change. Okay. Well, the part that's good about it is that it's happening when there's usually a little bit of a lull anyways, because it's the first week kids are going back to school. So consumers usually, they're now coming back, and this is why we're seeing a little bit of a surge in the market, is you're getting consumers that finally were able to take holidays. And so you had a July, part of August, which is normally quiet. Well, now we're getting those people back in and they're looking at going, okay, let's see what the marketplace has done. And they're discovering, the prices have come down, but places are selling. So it's a good, steady market. Usually when the kids go back to school, we have a week lull there where families are trying to get reoriented with getting kids back to school, getting back into, a system. But September, second half of September, October, are always a good fall market. So is November. But you need now to be communicating with your database to see those leads move forward, because there is activity out there. The market has adjusted, but consumers now are looking at, just as my client did, that's fine. I know I can't get that price, but I'm not buying at that price either. And I'm good because I can think about making the decision. And so don't think that because the market and the media has said, you know, it's crashing, it's crashing, it's crashing. We have some outside influences that are helping soften that. You know, as Tina mentioned, you know, we're having people from different areas of the world come this way. I've experienced that with agents I've talked with. Immigration is at its highest now, and they are all coming to the Ontario. The majority come to Ontario. Okay, so the market is actually at a good place right now. So don't, you know, that you got to communicate. You got to give lots of information. You want to use your stats. You want to show them, yes, you were here. Here's where you are now. But this is the overall picture, and this is what is going to be a benefit. Okay. When it comes to pricing, talking with some institutions, appraisers are actually now using pricing from summer of 2021. They're looking at comparables in a community, let's say, where they'll look at the most recent sales that's happened in the last 60, 45 days, 60 days. Then they're jumping all the way back to a year ago, because that's where the average price is today. So they're, yeah, Julia?
So is that kind of a 12% lower than
Yeah. So what they're looking at is they're taking averages. They have to use comparables within 60 days, but they can use as groundwork what was happening a year ago, because that's where the average price today was a year ago. So that your charts show that, which is really ironic, because a house 2 doors down from the one I just listed sold for $1,503,000 exactly a year ago, and it's the same model, similar condition, and backs onto the ravine like hers. So just ironic how those numbers. So appraisers are absolutely looking at historical data to justify pricing. Okay, so that's one of the things really good for people then looking at saying, if the rent is that high in the GTA, they'll start thinking again about moving back out of the GTA and using transportation to get to the work. So make sure you're really familiar with, what the rents are in the GTA. Do some calculations on how much does that allow somebody to buy something, because I think the next thing you're really going to start seeing change is the increase in activity of first-time buyers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And so be really familiar with, it's been a while, but be really familiar with any first-time buyer incentives that the government has. We used to talk about that all the time, but when the market was booming, it was like, who's got time to worry about that? Yeah, there's some benefits. I think it's a great opportunity, because interest rates now are, they jump it. Let's use today's interest rates, but the rents are so high. I think you're going to find first-time buyers are going to be a great target, that you can convert them from rent into being buyers. Okay. So I would put together, if it was me, I was marketing, I would look at marketing Facebook, social media, anywhere you can, and just talk about, the difference between renting versus buy. Okay, just something that I know in the past has worked well. And I recommend that you're going to start hearing about how first-time buyers are back in the marketplace. So you add in the investors, you add in immigration, and you add in first-time buyers coming back into the marketplace, what does that do to our market? Brings it back to normal. Right? So I think we're going to see a nice normal fall, and I predict that you're going to see prices will increase from where they are today in February, March, because you're going to have our spring market happen again, and our spring market usually takes place February, March. And then we'll see a normal average, once the spring market is over, we usually see a little bit of a pull down. So go back to your charts from 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, which you can get, market trends. That's the graphs you're going to use. I would recommend. Any thoughts on that our fall market next spring? Got some smart people on here. Shut up. Anyway, so that's what I see. Okay. I can also tell you that there are some communities outside the GTA that aren't allowing any new construction for 3 to 4 years. Their infrastructure has capped at capacity. And one of the communities I can tell you about is where my townhouse is in Thornbury, which is just outside Collingwood. A friend of mine just went to apply on land he's been sitting on. They told him 4 more years. They put a freeze on building. So, yeah, Julia, you have a question, a thought?
No, I was wondering if you could name some of those communities. I kind of wondered if it was Thornbury.
Yeah.
But any others you heard of?
There is talk that there's some communities that are a little bit north of where up to 400, where Aurelia and some of those areas where some infrastructure needs to be increased. But the one I'm very familiar with, and Collingwood is also talking about doing something, by the way.
So that's interesting because Aurelia has taken such a big hit in their prices, more so than other communities. Now Collingwood hasn't taken a big hit, and I just had my mom's house appraised, and for instance, the guy did a letter of opinion for my mom's house for estate, and said it would have sold in May, end of May at $975, and it's clearly about 25 under that, which isn't bad. But that's interesting that Collingwood's not allowing building, because that place has been booming like crazy.
Yeah, and now understand there's lots of sites have been approved, so there will be building continuing on. It's new applications that they're looking at. So when you start hearing things about communities like that, then what that tells me is we're going to have down the road, there's going to be a shortage of new construction in certain areas. We also have another factor that I've talked with a lot of different new condo builders, like big condo builders. They are very, very bullish on what the market's going to be in 2 years and out. Between now and then, they're going, yeah, we're going to see some up and downs, and where they've got some projects that they're pulling back on that they're not going to release, and that is 4 or 5 different builders that I've talked with. So what that tells me is then if there's no large releases or a huge number of releases, then that dries up again. So your inventory. So they're saying that over the next 18 to 24 months, they're figuring we've already been in it for 6 months. So they're looking a year out from now that, and maybe, a year and a half out from now, that there's going to be another surge in new applications, new releases of condos around the GTA. And one of the builders I meet with at least once a month, they have 18 condos under construction right now in the GTA. So really well listen to this person. Like they know what they're doing. Yeah, Julia.
Is there a source to find out what communities are not allowing new developments? Is there a source that we could go to
There's
shop
not
that
a
out?
direct source, but what you can do is it's just a matter of looking at some of the communities, and you just have to go into their economic development program, right? I will also ask some different builders I know on where they're applying for stuff or what they're getting, what their feedbacks are. But in the GTA, I can tell you that the builders right now, they know that there's going to be maybe a little bit of decrease in material once, you know, some of the supply chains open up, but there's not going to be a decrease in wages for all of the different trades because they just negotiated those. They're done, they're fixed. And right now, one of the builders just released a project 60 to 90 days ago in downtown Toronto, $1,650 a square foot. Okay. They had 400 units. They would said normally if it was February or January or November last year, those 400 units would have been gone. In the first 2 weeks, they sold 50% of the units. They've since sold up to 70%. And he says, once we hit 70%, he says, we really stopped marketing. Once we have our 70% sold, we don't care because the next 30%, because it's 70%, they can get their construction financing. Okay. So thing to look at is those factors where you have some pullback on, you know, new releases. You've got some communities that are saying, you know, we're going to put a hesitant on being able to do any new approvals until we get caught up with the infrastructure and the amount of new development we have. All those factors are going to bring this market back to what we saw as a level market. Now, for anybody who's been in a realtor for less than 2 years, you don't know what a normal market is. So you're going to see where, you know, there's going to be some stuff that doesn't sell. There's going to be, you have to be really good on, you know, negotiating, understanding, and looking at pricing. So those are important things. Communication is really important. Okay. So we're going to have, the market's going to be just fine. That's my opinion. That's what I see. I've been through it before. There's enough outside influences to offset, as I said earlier, any of the more localized buy and sell people that are still sitting on the fence. Okay. Before we move on to the next topic, anybody want to jump in and give us any updates on what's happening in your area? That if you're outside the GTA, I like to pick on Steve, but he hasn't put his video on yet, so he may be at his, you know, on the cottage dock or something to find out what's going on in Ottawa. So if you are available, Steve, let us know what's happening in the Ottawa area. Based on what I'm seeing and what you've been posting, it certainly looks like that it's been leveling up. There you are, bud. How are you?
Hey, pretty good.
Good. So
How
how
are
about an
things?
update on what's happening in the capital?
In Ottawa, it's slowed down, the
Okay.
same as Toronto. We're seeing prices coming down, but not substantially. They're down from the high from January, February, March. Probably, I would say we're getting closer to late fall of 2021 prices. So I think we're probably gonna reach 2021, summer of 2021 prices, probably within a month or two. So, but sales activity really slowed down. So we have a lot of buyers. The greed factor is still very high in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So we're seeing these people holding out and they think the market's going to recuperate, which we significantly doubt. But definitely, we're not looking at a market crashing. I don't believe the market's going to be crashing. You know, it might go down to the highs of 2020 or summer of 2021, but it's still significantly higher than 2019. So, and that's what we're trying to communicate to our clients, and we go from there. But definitely, sell activities are down. but probably that's going to pick up after the summer holidays. A lot of federal employees are taking some time off in the summertime, so we're expecting probably mid-September is going to start off. I think we're going back to the regular market of pre-COVID, where spring's going to be busy as in the COVID market 2020, 2021, and even this winter of 2022, winter and summer were very strong as the fall would slow down and the spring would slow down a little bit. And now we're getting back to the normal market with the spring that's going to be stronger and the fall is going to be stronger, and probably winter time is going to slow down again. So I think it's normalizing. The proper term I think we should be using is the market is normalizing. So that's my opinion.
I agree, and I appreciate the input, because it's, Ottawa is also an area that gives us a good factor on what the rest of the marketplace and the Ontario is thinking. So thank you for that. Really appreciate your input. All right, so
Okay.
Realty Executives International Conference. I am going. I'm actually now going to be on a panel. They asked me to be on a panel. So if you have not looked at going, the conference is that first part of November. I think it's November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th in there. It's in Nashville. It's the first time in a few years that we've been able to get together. Really great setup. To give you an idea, it is opening night is Tuesday night. Wednesday is the first session. Wednesday morning is more the traditional style conference session. Then lunch, after lunch, it's actually switching over to different networking events, because they really want to get the realtors. And that's the whole thing about going to a conference, is to build your referral network with other realtors. Okay. Then Wednesday night, there's an event. Thursday morning is a general session. Thursday afternoon, there's another networking event as well. And then Thursday night is the send-off party. Okay, send-off gathering. So I can tell you that I've done this before. I'm flying in on a Tuesday morning because the session doesn't start till 6 o'clock on Tuesday night, and I'm flying home on a Friday. Where the hotel is located, if you've never been to Nashville, it is actually great. It's downtown. This hotel is actually in downtown. You can walk to all the different events, all the different tourist areas, all the different, the restaurants, to get a feel for exactly what takes place in Nashville, the one street with all the bands and entertainment. So I highly recommend, if you haven't considered it, look at going. One, you can write off the trip because it's for business. Two, Nashville is a great place to go and see. There's nothing else like it. And the idea is, every time go to these events, build your network, build your referral business, because that is the best way of connecting with people. The other thing to understand is, you're with an international organization. Our website shows all of the listings throughout our whole network. Okay, you should be promoting that to all of your database, that you can help them anywhere. And I know I've even been talking to one of my clients, and I'm sure some of you had this, where they go, "Oh, I got to tell you about this great investment property I just bought in Florida." "What do you mean you bought in Florida? I could have helped you." "Oh, I didn't want to bother you. Well, I didn't know you could do that." So highly recommend, if you haven't thought about going, look at going. This is, one, it's easy to get in and out of Nashville. And two, first time the event's been happening, it's capped at 350 people. And I know they're already over halfway registered. Okay, half the registrants are already done. So
Scott, can you send us the link again?
absolutely. Yep.
Please.
I'll send everybody the link to the international conference. And there's going to be some great panels, great information. So I always learn something, and I always pick up people that I haven't met before, so I can service them in the sense where, talking to a client, I know this person from Florida, I know this person from Arizona, I know this person from Western Canada. always great to do that. And then you need to really put that out to your database, because there's, you know, a referral today is $2,000-3,000
Mhm.
easy, right? So just, I want to put that in. Other topic I want to talk about is Realty Executives Plus expansion plans. I can let you know that, for those of you that do know, I wear two hats. I own the brokerage and I own the franchising rights as the regional developer for Realty Executives International. So my franchising rights with them has been extended for another 10 years. So, so that's great. So we're moving forward with that. And I really believe in the brand and I really like what they do. So what that means is I'm also going to be looking at opening and awarding new franchises throughout Ontario. During the pandemic, it was a little tough to get anybody to sort of consider doing that. The other thing we're doing is Realty Executives Plus. We're really going to put a push on now. And that's why actually Michelle, my daughter, in case anybody didn't know she was my daughter, has joined the company from a corporate position. And she's going to be working with me on doing, looking at the regional and expansion, as well as the corporate the plus expansion, as well as she's also been certified as the Realty Executives Concierge person. So, which is an upgrade from, some of you have done sort of the DMX course and those things. So she's actually just been certified through International. She did the courses with them. So she will be reaching out to you, some of you individually, to help make sure that you're using all the tools that Realty Executives has. She's also going to look at what you're doing with your branding, social media wise, because she's excellent at that. So when you do get contact from her, that's what she's going to be working on, because we're really focused now on helping you grow your business. And there's lots of tools Realty Executives have that we know you're not using. So we want to help you understand how that can help. Okay. So, you know, that's one of the reasons we're doing this. So the expansion plans for Plus are going to be twofold. One, we're going to look at adding realtors to our existing locations. And then I'm also looking at acquiring, merging in any other brokerages or teams or anything like that. So if you have any companies or any teams you're aware of that you think would be a good fit, let me know, because then we can start looking at trying to have some discussions with them if they have any interest in looking at opening up their own branch or joining us in some facility that we can expand our company. Okay, because as we expand into different neighborhoods, it opens up the ability for you within our own company to get referrals. Because right now, we have people all over Ontario that work with, pretty all over Ontario that work with just Realty Executives Plus, right? So when you're looking at doing referrals, one thing that's really unique about our company, our Realty Executives Plus brand, is we have realtors that are, we've got stuff in Niagara, we got stuff in Guelph, we got stuff in Cambridge, we have Nancy up north, we've got, Steve out in Ottawa, we've got people in Eastern on, East GTA, West GTA, Oakville, all. So keep in mind when you're looking at referring, if you're not going to service that business, you don't have to go too far, just within the company, or you just reach out to me and I can say, absolutely, I know this is who I'd recommend. Okay. So part of the idea of mergers acquisitions is obviously I got to have the funds to be able to do that. So I'm letting you know that Greg and I have sold the building that we're sitting in at head office. We have sold it to one of the biggest condo developers in Toronto. I can't say the name because they asked us not to, but I can trust you that they know what they're doing. Applications are going into the city shortly. We are building 2 condominium towers. The first application is going in for a 70-story and a 60-story 2-building concept with a 6-story promenade sort of in between them. The benefit of that is allows me to have a fair bit of capital to go out and buy other real estate companies and convert them into Realty executives. It also gave the ability that we, both Greg and my real estate companies and our family real estate, because we own different, I have nieces and nephews that own a brokerage. My brother owns a brokerage. And obviously I own a brokerage. Our salespeople, and it's written right in our sales contract with them, we will have first opportunity to sell the units. So we will have family and friends rates as well as the first opportunity. That'll probably take place 2 years from now. So we are in this location where we are for another 2 years. And then we're moving our office to a building that Greg and I bought at Matheson and Highway 10. So we're not far from where we are. We're moving into a building at Matheson and Highway 10. And it'll actually be, our office is moving there. We're moving the dentist that's in the building here. We're moving the orthodontist that's in the building. It's a 2-story office building. The second floor is actually all occupied by the head office of the Canadian Red Cross. The Canadian Red Cross owned the building since 1989. We just bought it from them, closed on it in July. So the building will only have those 4 tenants: us, Red Cross, a dentist, and an orthodontist. We will have the rooftop signage as well. So it'll just be Realty executives. We'll have the rooftop signage. We're also going to have a little more space than what we have in currently, which will, the design, we're also adding in a lot more private window offices. So we'll be able to get agents that want to come work in the office. We'll have facilities with private window space as well as, open common space as well. So I wanted to share that with everybody because it's pretty exciting. It was scary trying to put it all together, but we're going to be here where we are for 2 years. So nothing changes and the location doesn't change. And then we just simply move up the street, not far. Okay. And
What about our hours? Because I have a lot of agents who will, after I've sold the property, want to bring in the bank draft after 9 o'clock or after 5 o'clock, and we'll go to Remax in order to get the receipt.
Yeah.
How are we doing that?
Well, in 2 years from now, we're nothing's changing here where we are. But 2 years from now, we're obviously going to be a much larger company. So
Yeah.
more than likely, hours will change. I will also let you know, it's a phenomenal how many agents are not dropping off checks as much as they're doing direct deposits now.
Direct deposits, yes.
Yeah. So, but we can facilitate that with, very simply.
Okay.
I'm not concerned about that.
Congratulations, by the
Thank
way.
you. Thank
Sounds
you.
very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought it was one of the, and during the negotiations, like they're basically, they said, well, we have our own sales people that, sell all our units, and we're going, we're not signing unless we have at least our company have first opportunity at selling the units. So we will get, we might get a week. Obviously we'll have a lot of uptake, a lot more information prior to, but we will definitely, we have an opportunity where probably 2 years from now, it might even be 18 months from now, that you could, if you're interested yourselves or any of your clients, there's an opportunity where you can actually say to them, we have first in, we're even before VIP. So, okay.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're pretty pleased that we got done. And beyond that, I just, I think, the market is going to be good and steady. You got to be working. You got to do lots of communicating. You got to really understand how to present the facts, use historic data, use the graphs that are available to you through all the different real MLS boards. Okay. And then just a matter of the market is there. And if you don't think the market's there, reach out to me and we can have even an individual discussion if you want. any thoughts, questions before we sign off and get on with the rest of the day? All right.
Congrats, Scott. Congrats on all
Thank
your endeavors. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and we're involved through the whole process. We're involved with right down to looking at the floor plans, looking at the square footage, and just talking about, you know, the designs. And it's really interesting seeing how these, you know, and what's great about it is it's a new experience, obviously, for both my brother and I. We've done some small projects, but the way that they meet now every 2 weeks around a table, you have 14 people, and they're everywhere from the person that, the construction people, the engineers, the architects, like it, and every detail is just fine tuned. And it's really interesting to see how this all comes together with doing a project like this. So it's pretty neat. We're pretty excited, and I appreciate, you know, everybody, you know, thanking and encouraging us to do that. And I look forward to, but again, no changes for 2 years. Everything's status quo. We're going to grow in between, but I wanted to let you know that's how I'm taking, you know, a fair bit of the funds that, you know, we're receiving from that. The building on Matheson, on Highway Matheson and Highway 10, if anybody wants the address, it's 5700 Can Cross Court, which is on Matheson, just west of Highway 10. Okay, and it's real easy to look at because it says Canadian Red Cross. So if you're in that area, you want to look at where our home's going to be 2 years from now, then that's what we've done. But we own the building, we bought the building. So so we're pretty excited with that. I'm actually really comfortable where I see the marketplace, going, and there is business out there. Okay, there's business out there. You just got to communicate. You got to be, now you really need to be focused on what are you doing on a daily basis? How are you responding to your database? How are you responding and communicating with leads that come in? And you've got to cultivate, and you've got to really understand that as far as some of the consumers are, I'm not going to do anything. You got to show them reasons why. And again, one of the things that we talked about earlier that I suggest is really look at first-time buyers, because their rents are really going to, that's where the justification is going to be. Okay. All right. Thank you again. For anybody, any other comments before we sign off?
No.
All right. Thank you again. Again, welcome, Herbert and Jaljit. Welcome to the company. And we're going to be doing some more of these. And thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Smiling. Have a good day. Bye.